Lastly, why doesn't God just create people that want to be saved? Well, this kind of goes back to our free will argument. If your desire is to create people to have a relationship with them, freedom must be part of that constraint. Now, do I believe that God can create people, or even before he creates people, he will know those who will choose him? Yes, I believe that. Matter of fact, I go one step further. I believe that God creates the world and orders it in a certain way so that individual people will choose him based on individual situations and circumstances and who they are. I think that that's a logical extrapolation of some of the biblical text. It's how God foreordains before the foundation of the world, yet still lets individuals freely choose him. If you weren't here in January, I believe we covered that topic pretty extensively, and you can get the CD on that, where we talk about the balance between predestination and free will. So God, in knowing that, couldn't he just create a world of all those people who would have freely chosen him? Maybe he doesn't have to insert his pressure on people, but maybe he could just create those individuals who would love him. Well, that may be possible, but you're limited by man's freedom in such that such a world may have only contained a handful of people. Maybe it wasn't in God's plan. Maybe his objectives were other than creating a world in which only 4 people existed and all 4 people got saved so nobody goes to hell, Maybe his plan is larger than that. I had a conversation actually this evening with my son before we coming over here, and he was asking me about some of these kinds of issues. And I was trying to explain to him that when God creates free creatures with what we call libertarian freedom, it means that they are the center of their choice. They are in themselves making a choice. Nobody is compelling them or making a choice for them. Now, that doesn't mean that their choices aren't colored by their past experience. If you've always grown up eating In-N-Out, and somebody comes before you and says, okay, I have got fried liver and I've got In-N-Out. Which one will you choose? You're free to choose either one. Well, my guess is you'll probably choose In-N-Out. That's just my guess. But that doesn't, so it's your past that helps color those issues. It helps shape your choice. But overall, the choice is ultimately yours to make. You may be on a diet and say, no, I need to go over here and eat this instead of In-N-Out, although I want the In-N-Out. So free creatures, a relationship, as I said, entails freedom. To create people who will only choose God means that you are constrained to make people who have a choice. And as you make people who have a choice, there will be a time when certain people will choose not to follow you. Is this making sense? Am I being clear here? I know this is like the advanced course on libertarian freedom. So what God does, basically what I'm saying is God can't do the impossible. It may not be possible to create a world of completely free creatures, 6 billion strong, where every one of the 6 billion choose him. Because the concept of freedom means that they have the choice to go either way, and a certain number of them will go the other way. So God chooses to create the world in which we live so that the most people that can be saved are saved, and the least number of people that are lost are lost. And we see this as the best of all possible worlds. Now, if you're interested in this topic, I have a gentleman who explains it far better than I can. His name is Alvin Plantinga, and the book is called God, Freedom, and Evil, and I recommend that to you as a jumping off point to get more study on. But it may not be the fact that God can create a world where everybody is free and still want to be saved and have any significant number to accomplish some of God's other purposes, such as showing his glory by redeeming individuals. Remember, when he pulls Israel out of Egypt, he uses that as a way to demonstrate who he is, right? It is the fact that he rescues Israel out of Egypt, and he comments on it in the Psalms many times to say, this is the God who drew you out of Egypt. This is what I am like. This is part of my nature, and we learn from that.